I'm doubtful that ETFs are going to drive the next bull market, but I think that as that bull market materializes, that's another ease of inflow that could make the bull market do better than it would if these ETFs did not exist. I think that the next bull market probably comes from the same types of directions that the prior bull markets came from. The ETF as the most boring thing, kind of in Bitcoin at the moment. If you get in at a certain point and then the level's higher, there's a difference between putting a percentage of your portfolio into an asset like Bitcoin versus having that percent in there largely due to appreciation. And so it's like you took less risk and you have more gains now. And so you're playing with money that you've already you're playing with house money at that point. The ETF as the most boring thing kind of in Bitcoin at the moment.
Wait a minute, everyone. Get ready for the ultimate crypto investing website, the Bitcoin Seller. It's your golden ticket to an exclusive insiders club. Expert predictions, on-chain data, and breaking news, all for you. Imagine all crypto insights landing in your inbox daily, like having your own expert team. Don't miss this VIP opportunity. Click the link and secure your spot. Join now and ride the crypto roller coaster with the Bitcoin Seller. Lyn Alden took us through the intriguing world of Bitcoin and its stance with ETFs, possibly shaping the next bull market. Lyn suggests ETFs might not be the only factor but could play a crucial role in boosting the upcoming Bitcoin surge. It's a captivating story filled with mystery, excitement, and the fascinating connection between ETFs and the potential bull run. Back to Lyn Alden.
Bitcoin is the growing, harder, emergent money. The dollar is the big incumbent money. And the dollar goes through periods of hardening and loosening. On net, it's kind of structurally loosening. That's what it does. But it goes through these kind of periods of hardening. And so when it's doing that, it's pretty rare that Bitcoin's going to do well in that environment because it's getting pushed around by this bigger money that is the unit of account for much of the world. And so I kind of have a very mixed outlook for liquidity this year, or at least the first half of the year. And so when people ask me what I think Bitcoin's going to do, I keep giving kind of a 2-year view because I think I have better visibility on what happens in the 2-year view. I think that liquidity is probably higher 2 years from now than it is now. But over the next 6 months or 9 months or 12 months, I don't really have a firm view on that. And so that's why I'm maybe a little bit more cautious around my statements than a lot of other Bitcoin bulls are, because nothing between $30,000 and $120,000 would surprise me, because one is Bitcoin's that volatile, and two, liquidity is that uncertain in this calendar year, at least in my opinion. And I try to track liquidity pretty closely. So you have to take into account, what is the dollar index going to do compared to other major currencies? What is China going to do? What is the Fed going to do? What is the Treasury going to do? What are banks going to do? Right. So there's multiple variables that feed into that. So we've been in a liquidity consolidation for quite a while, and those can only last so long because the system is designed such that it always needs more liquidity. And so that plays into a lot of my view of why the next 2 years are probably going to have another up leg in liquidity. And we are off the highs in liquidity, which occurred back in late 2022. So it's not that I think liquidity is going to be terrible. It's just I don't know if we're going to have like a big vertical move in liquidity, which if that were to happen, I think we get that big vertical move in Bitcoin most likely. But I don't know if that happens this year, next year, maybe between the 2 years, some point. And so that's kind of how. And if you look at the halvings, I mean, the halvings are relevant for Bitcoin, but sometimes the bull run is like, happens right around that time. Other times it's delayed for a period of time. And that's in large part because the actual timing tends to be more correlated with that liquidity component. The halving plays a really big role in terms of, I think, why it has higher highs and higher lows. I think it plays a really big role in the bear markets, like 2 years later, when not that many people want Bitcoin anymore. And there's still Bitcoin coming to market, but it's less because of the halving. That helps set the higher floor. The kind of the hodlers of last resort have less supply to absorb. But in terms of timing around the halving itself, I think liquidity is generally a bigger catalyst.
Lyn Alden navigates the intricate landscape of Bitcoin's liquidity with the skill of a maestro. Simplifying the complex, Lyn explores Bitcoin's evolution as hard money against the backdrop of the mighty dollar's ebb and flow. She provides a nuanced outlook on liquidity over the next months, extending her telescopic view over 2 years for clarity. Lyn's crystal ball sees a future where liquidity takes the spotlight, shaping Bitcoin's path. From the role of the dollar index to China's actions and the Federal Reserve's influence, Lyn guides us through the factors affecting Bitcoin's liquidity.
Which kind of caught some flack, and some people were polarized in that comment. But basically,
Provocative.
yeah. So, basically the ETF providers are, a lot of this was aware, right? So it's like they're already lining up liquidity that they're going to need. There's going to be some exit from GBTC. There's going to be inflows to some combination of the others. So I had a really big range where nothing would be surprising if we had a $5,000 candle, if we had a big sell the news event. But the other kind of signal was there are so many people calling for either a God candle or a sell the news event. There was hardly anyone calling for choppy seats, nothing particularly remarkable. And so the fact that that's what we got is kind of the pain trade, where if you were shorting it, you didn't really make money off the short. If you were hoping for crazy spicy action to the upside, you didn't really get that either. And so whatever people are not really talking about is, if you had to pick one, that's normally how things go. But I didn't have high conviction that we'd have that sideways move anyway. It's more just like, for me, this quarter of any specific quarter price action is just noise to me. The other thing is that there's a lot of the capital that's just dying to come into Bitcoin has found a way, right? Instead, what this does is this normalizes the asset to some extent, and it provides a long-term option for some capital to start gradually moving in. But there's not a lot of people that are day one just raring to go the second it comes in, that haven't already bought at an exchange or a broker or GBTC or MicroStrategy. Yeah, they either bought a Bitcoin proxy or they bought Bitcoin. And so the idea that there'd be just like a $10 billion wanted to flow in the first week, I think was unrealistically optimistic. And that's part of why, I actually, in my research, for example, I have not been writing a ton about the ETF. I kind of waited till we're pretty close to it, talked about it. My next report's going to obviously update some of the things that have happened since then, but it's not been this giant recurring theme of mine, because it's just, in my view, it's not one of the key variables, even though it is a variable among many. I'm doubtful that ETFs are going to drive the next bull market, but I think that as that bull market materializes, that's another ease of inflow that could make the bull market do better than it would if these ETFs did not exist. And so it's money tends to chase price, ironically. So it's I think that the next bull market probably comes from the same types of directions that the prior bull markets came from, which is, we went through this bear market, a lot of the fast money's out of Bitcoin. It's kind of gravitated towards those strong hands, people that are dollar cost averaging in, people that just, they're listen to podcasts like this and they don't really plan on selling for the foreseeable future. They're kind of locked in. And so eventually you kind of get that really tight supply situation, and then you get better liquidity conditions. So I've been kind of beating the drum for a while that Bitcoin is very correlated with global liquidity metrics, more so than any other asset I track. And it's also the inverse is true. So if I look at all the things that are correlated with Bitcoin, liquidity is arguably the highest. So when the liquidity goes up, that tends to be constructive for Bitcoin price. But then it's especially so when you've been in a bear market for a while, and a lot of those loosely held coins have gravitated towards the stronger hands that are only going to come out with a 5x increase, pretty much.
Right.
And as a starting, basically once you breach all-time highs, when you start to get a little bit of distribution from those types of hands. And then also when you break all-time highs, that's when, people in their RIAs are saying, why aren't we in Bitcoin? The ETFs came out months ago. What are we doing? And so then you can get some of the inflows, and that's where I think it could add to it. It's certainly a constructive, positive variable, but for me, it's not the key catalyst, most likely.
In the final act, Lyn Alden confronts the aftermath of the eagerly awaited ETF launch. With eloquence and a touch of controversy, Lyn addresses the gap between expectations and reality surrounding ETFs entering the Bitcoin market. The spotlight is on ETF providers as Lyn unravels liquidity preparation intricacies, GBTC exit strategies, and potential inflows across platforms. But here's the twist. Lyn introduces an often overlooked perspective, Amid the anticipation of a God candle or a sell the news event, she directs our attention to the unexpected, a scenario where things unfold with unpredictability. With Lyn as our guide, we explore capital flow nuances, asset normalization, and the long-term options it has bring. In Bitcoin's grand symphony, ETFs may not be the lead violin, but they add a harmonious note to the ensemble. As we gracefully conclude this segment, Lyn leaves us with a lingering question. Will ETFs drive the next Bitcoin bull market, or is there another hidden catalyst waiting to unfurl its wings? If you've been part of this journey so far, a heartfelt thank you. Don't forget to subscribe to Bitcoin Zella for your daily dose of essential news. The link is waiting for you below. The crypto street roller coaster is far from over. Subscribe, hit like, and join us as we navigate the twists and turns of the crypto universe together. The adventure continues, and we're your guides on this thrilling journey through the heart of Crypto Street.